A very good noon, all of you. I welcome you to BYJU'S Exam Prep. I am Nikita, and today we will talk about what should be your strategy to master the R's passages, right? Hi, Varun. Hello. So, reading comprehension passages. We had a session yesterday itself on RC passages, right? Wherein I talked to you about skimming text. So, we discussed what is skimming, what is scanning, what is speed reading. So, quite a few concepts. Then implemented it for an RC passage. So, that was our micro focus. We were dissecting the various techniques that we can adopt to ace RC passages. Today, I will talk about some strategies, some broad things that you should keep in mind during your preparation and, of course, during your test, in the exam, in your mocks. Right? That's what we are going to discuss. Hi, Priya. Good to see you. Hello, Varun. I'm good. I hope the same for you. Hi, Village Dog. Welcome to the session. I hope your preparation is in clear. Yes. And I really hope that you master the RCs because you know that for CAT they are particularly important. Right? 2/3 of your CAT VA RC section is RC passages. So on this note, let's begin. Let us talk about reading. Good afternoon, Harshad, Shivam. Good afternoon. Okay. I think the first strategy, the first pointer that I would want to give you is don't be scared, don't be afraid of what? Of reading diverse genres. So I've seen this hesitation in students of going beyond their comfort zones. If they are comfortable in, let's say, science and technology, they'll keep on reading articles related to that. If they're comfortable with business and economics, they will stick to that. So remember that CAT does not care, or these other exams do not care about your comfort zones. Your RC passages could be from such as, let's say, philosophy, psychology, history, areas that you may not like. As a lot of students tell me, I dislike this, I don't like this genre. So please don't be scared of exploring diverse genres. You should explore diverse genres. Don't be lazy about it. Don't think I don't like it, I'll somehow manage it in the exam, I'll wing it. Trust me, when it comes to CAT, when it comes to ZAT, you'll not be able to wing it in case you've not read diverse genres. So that should be your first learning. Okay. Now, of reading things that you find boring, right? So sometimes students tell me, I find this very boring when I read it, and that's why I lose interest midway. So this must be the case with a lot of college and school subjects also, right? But then you did study them, didn't you? Because you passed the exam. So liking this, disliking this, finding it boring, okay, these are just your mental blocks, and they won't work because the exam is going to ask what it has to ask, right? So you have to read diverse genres, you have to read things that you may not have traditionally read because they're not your interest area. And trust me, once you develop this attitude, no, that I have to read it and I have to develop an interest in it, gradually the interest builds. I was someone who did not like history at all. Okay, and in school I just did like anything, probably because my school followed a very rote memorization approach to history. But when I started reading passages related to history, they started intriguing me. But I gave myself that chance that I read it in the first place. If I had just kept telling myself, no, no, I dislike it, let me just leave it, then I would not have developed that interest in the first place. Right? Good afternoon, those who have just joined us. Right. And this is another problem that I've seen students telling me that, the article was so long. So, see, I understand that in, let's say, so if I talk about various exams, let's talk about in CAT, you get 500 to 550 word RCs. That has been the trend in the past few years. In NMAT, again, I haven't seen very lengthy RC passages. So 500 words approximately. In Snap, sometimes the cases that you, so see, Snap hasn't asked RC pass for the last 2 years, right? But back when it used to, so if I go back to 2018, right, in 2019, yeah, to 2019, so there, either Snap does that, it'll ask you, let's say, one long RC passage with 8, 9 questions, okay, or it'll have two short RC passages. So with Snap, it depends. I have seen 800 word RCs also in Snap. So still students tend to think of this as the upper limit. Whatever, let's say, a SNAP or an IFT is asking them, they think of that as the upper limit. IFT is known to ask relatively longer RC passages. There was a time when it used to ask even 1300, 1400 word RC passage, but I hope that time is behind us. And in the recent years, we've seen 800 words, okay, sometimes 850 words, sometimes even 500, 600 words also, right? So the point that I'm trying to make through this is, however, this is not all there is to reading. You can't expect all the articles that you read to be tailor made and to be of 850, 900 words only. So if, let's say, you open this EMAC called Scientific American, it cites a lot of data, it gives you a lot of graphs, so its articles tend to be long. Same is the case with EON. Other students come to me and say, Imam, EON articles are 3000 words long. How can I read a 3000 word article? You can. Just break it into parts. Okay, just break it for yourself into parts. So don't be afraid of reading long articles. This will build your reading stamina. In the exam, so if I talk about CAT, you will not just be reading 500, 550 words. You have to read 4 RC passages. So you'll end up reading approximately 2000 to, let's say, 2250 words, right? Plus there are para jumbles and para summary also. They are also words only, right? They also involve reading and comprehending. So you will end up reading about 2500, 3000 words in a span of 40 minutes. And you have to build that reading stamina. So don't be scared of reading long articles. If initially it's a problem, break them into parts. But you have to build that reading stamina. Okay? So Varsha, I was talking about reading diverse genres. Yes, and that you should be reading not just the areas that you're comfortable with, but also those areas that may be relatively unfamiliar to you or you may find them boring. Right? You should not be afraid of reading long articles. Then I again want to emphasize this of difficult language. So students who are not readers, when they begin reading the Hindu, when they begin, Indian Express is still relatively okay. The Hindu, they tell me there are very difficult vocabulary words there, right? Or if again they begin with Eon, they begin with, let's say, a philosophy article, they tell me that the language is difficult, the vocabulary is difficult. Why is it difficult? Because currently it is unfamiliar. इसीलिए difficult है वो, isn't it? Anything is difficult because it's unfamiliar to us. So don't be hesitant. You know why I'm stating this, why this is the first slide, because I have realized that a lot of problem to reading is psychological. A lot of it is in your mind. When you already think of something difficult and with an attitude that you can't do it, then probably you won't be able to do it. Okay, you have to first think that, okay, this might be difficult for now, but as I practice, it will become easier. And even if it remains slightly difficult, I am ready to navigate it. I am ready to find my way through it. I am ready to comprehend it at least to 70-80% extent. That should be the attitude with an RC passage. So, a lot of uh, problem to master RCs is an attitude problem. It's a mental mind block that students have, which you have to clear first. Then only I can give you some specific strategies to master RCs. You have to be ready to read first. Okay? All right. For registration for NMAT, I released a short about it. You can watch that. In fact, yeah, in the NMAT session also I showed you that, no? Uh, it's don't remember it. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Okay. Now, build the right skills. So, a lot of times we are reading, but not reading the right way. Right? So, a lot of influencers today make videos on how to do things the right way. So, it's important that you also learn how to read these the right way. So, can you tell me what are the skills that are required reading? Yes. Skills needed to ace reading. Tell me. Can you tell me what are the skills needed to ace reading? We've covered some of them yesterday. We covered some of them yesterday, yes? So, tell me. I want responses from you. This can't be a one-way street, no? It can't be just a one-way letter where I am just telling you things. Yes. So last day for registration is 10th October, Monday. Monday, 10th October 2022. Okay, hope this helps for NMAT. A reading habit, yes, that should be there. So we talked about building a reading stamina, building a reading habit. All right, fine. So this is about habit. I am talking about the skills that are needed. When you read, when you sit to read, what are the tools that you need in your arsenal to ace reading? Skimming but sensibly. All right. Read within one span of time and read once and understand without repeating it. Very good. Varsha. Okay. Now, so let me just write down. Absolutely correct. So speed reading. When you are talking about reading within a given time constraint, basically I'm talking about speed reading. Reading with a sense of urgency. Okay. Then skimming and scanning, something that we talked about yesterday. So in case you didn't attend yesterday's session, you can consider watching it. There I talk about skimming and scanning in detail and how to do it also. Okay. What else? Anticipation. So not assume, Bhuvnesh, the word is anticipate. You anticipate what is there in the next passage. Sorry, next paragraph. Inference, okay. So basically comprehension. When you say infer, you are talking about comprehension, understanding. Anticipation is also a part of comprehension only, in fact. That's what I would say. If you don't understand the RC passage, you'll not be able to anticipate what is going to come in the next paragraph. Okay. So yeah, usually while we have sessions that are geared towards all exams also, we have sessions geared towards just CAT also. So yesterday's session, for instance, I did a CAT passage. Okay, so it was pretty focused on CAT, and going forward also we are going to have such sessions. Okay. Uh, all right. Background knowledge helps. Varun, correct. Avoiding regression. Absolutely correct. Avoiding regression. So you know quite a few things about the skills. Now the key is to build these skills. So basically skimming, scanning, speed reading. One more thing that probably we missed out, retention. Okay, it's important to remember the stuff that I have read. Yes, in case I don't remember it, how will I solve questions effectively? So, skimming, scanning, speed reading, retention, comprehension, avoiding regression, and as part of comprehension, anticipating probably what is going to come next, right? These are the skills that you need to ace reading. And trust me, there are practical ways to build it, okay, to build these skills. So there are practical ways to build them, and I showed you one such way, skimming, yesterday. Okay, that skimming does not mean that you skip everything. Okay, skimming does not mean that you read so hurriedly that you don't comprehend anything. There is a way to skimming that you learn, just like you learn swimming, the same way you learn skimming also gradually. Now, so build these right skills. For instance, when you start reading, you may not be a speedy reader, right? So give yourself targets. So every day practice target based reading, right? So this is what I do. If I feel that okay, I can comfortably read 10 pages in 15 minutes. Okay, I give myself a target of 11 pages. So that way I read with a sense of urgency. Not that I'm reading so hurriedly that I don't understand any. No. But I'm also not very relaxed. I'm not reading at a very leisurely pace. Okay, so read with a sense of urgency, and gradually, as you do it every single day for some days, you will realize that now your comfort zone speed itself has gone up. Now you're able to read 11 pages comfortably after a few days in 15 minutes. Then you can give yourself a revised target. But the key is consistency. You'll not be able to see these results if you don't keep up at it. Right. Similarly, we are going to talk about all of these techniques, in fact, in the series that we are running. So yesterday, there was the first session of that series where we talked about skimming. The series name is RC Toolkit. RC Toolkit. And yesterday we talked about skimming there. So I'll be talking about all of these in detail with you. Just as an example, I want to show you something. Okay, so I'll give you a paragraph right now, and I'll be timing you. You have to read it, and later on I'll ask you what you remember from that paragraph. Okay, so read. Let's learn to read within a time constraint. Okay, and there are certain questions that I'll ask you later on. All right. So let's get ready. Let me see if there are any questions here. Uh, what is regression? Regression means going back again and again and reading the text. Going back and rereading the text. So that's the question that has come up. Okay. What else? We have ingredients. Dish banana सीखना है. Absolutely. And dish banana practice करना है every day. Then you will get better at it. Okay. Alright then. Let's come to the next slide. Let's read the paragraph. Done. So I timed you here. I hope you've read this. Now we come to the next slide. So now the text has disappeared. Okay. So you tell me, what do you remember reading, and basically things that you think are important in this paragraph? Yes. Let's see what you say. So what do you remember? Give me some pointers. Ice, okay, all right, all right. So these are words, weave them into ideas. I want ideas from you. What were the ideas that were mentioned? What was the key information that the passage was trying to convey? The paragraph was trying to convey. Rebounding of the earth. Okay, all right. What else? Harshad, what do you say? That's it. That's it. What about others? I gave you the same amount of time that you will get in CAT to read a particular piece of information. Breaking of the frigid ice, diversity was lost, now it is melting down. Very good. Then, okay, all right. Diversity was not lost because of the fact that it melted. Diversity was lost when the freezing happened. Okay. We are trying to recover that. Now that it's melting, we are trying to recover that lost diversity. All right. What else? That's it. That's it. Okay. There's one thing that I wanted you to say, and probably you are not saying this because some of you didn't reach there. Okay, you didn't reach there. See, this part was important here. And in the Atlantic Ocean, eelgrass. So what is trying to regain the diversity? Eelgrass, this kind of plant, is still trying to regain the genetic diversity it lost when ice isolated it from the Pacific. Okay, so ice isolated this plant called eelgrass from the Pacific Ocean. It remained confined to the Atlantic Ocean. It confined it to the Atlantic Ocean, and now it is trying to regain that genetic diversity. Right. So we are talking about what? So we are basically talking about the ice age. That when the ice age happened, things froze. Because of that, when things froze, some of the diversity from the earth was lost. Earth is now trying to rebound as this ice is melting. In fact, it's still melting. That ice that froze during the ice age, some of it is still melting, and that's why some of our oceans still keep receiving fresh water. So that's what has been discussed here. And yes, I understand that time, you must have felt short of time. Okay, so these were 100, I think 99 words. So 100 words. I gave you 25 seconds to read them. Okay, that is what I gave. So in the exam also, see, if I average it, we expect you to read, we want you to read a 500 RC passage in 2 minutes. That means 250 words per minute. That's what we want from you. Okay, and that is why I time ourselves in such a way. So while let's say you did not remember eelgrass, you did remember that we talked about freezing, we talked about, let's say, the ice age, we now talk about the melting of this ice. This also you remembered. You remembered that some of the genetic diversity was lost. So diversity was lost is what I got. Okay, diversity was lost. Now, this point was important, that eelgrass is trying to regain some of the diversity that it got. Okay, so this point was lost probably because it came at the end. But still you remembered information, you remembered pieces of information, right? So while right now you could not remember one major point, you did remember the other points. So gradually work on this. As you read, after reading, just close that article and ask yourself, what all do I remember from this article? Then check, did you cover all the key points? Do you remember all the key ideas at least? If yes, then you have good retention. If not, then work on this. Work on remembering the key ideas, because it will help you in solving your questions. Once, let's say, you start remembering all the key ideas, then work on what we call geographical retention. That you should also remember that the idea is in para 2. This key idea was in para 3. Because when you remember that, let's say there is a question that talks about something that now you know, you remember is in para 2, you'll straight go to para 2 without wasting time. Isn't it? So this was just a very short exercise in talking to you about retention. You can actually implement such exercises to build each of the skills that I have just discussed. Speed reading, skimming, scanning, retention, comprehension, and we'll be talking about each of these skills in detail in our coming sessions. Okay, for retention, try this. For 21 days, as various psychologists today, it's very popular that it takes 21 days to build a habit. For 21 days, for one article every day, do this. That after reading that article, ask yourself what were the key ideas. See if you remember all of them. And if you remember all of them, see if you remember in which paragraph, which key idea lay. Okay, so a practical tip. All right. And one more thing that I want to ask you. How did you feel because of the timer? Were you panicking a little because of the timer? Were you looking at the timer also constantly and were therefore able to focus less on the text? Did that happen? Important for me to know. This happens. Initially, it definitely happens when students start reading, right? And I will address this because, as I said, a lot of barriers to reading, to mastering RCs are psychological barriers. So we have to address them. Without them, I can give you a lot of strategy and it will not be of much use, right? Now, once you've, let's say, got into this groove of reading, once you've started reading every day, of course, RC passages are not just about reading, right? You have to solve questions after reading. So work on your concepts. Okay, I'll address this part about timer also in the coming slide. Work on your concepts, meaning you should know the techniques of solving, let's say, an inference question. So if I talk about main question types, what are they? Direct questions, where the answer is stated in the passage. Inference questions, where you have to infer it, you have to derive it. It may not be stated as it is in the passage. Then main idea, what was the overall theme of the passage? Tone of the RC passage, although it has not been asked in CAT for a number of years now. Tone of the author or tone of the RC passage. Then structure based questions. So what is the function of this paragraph? How does this paragraph relate to the previous paragraph? right? Structure based questions. Further application. So for instance, I say that based on the principle that is given in the paragraph, what would the author do in the following situations? And I give you some external situations. These are further application questions. So these are your main question types, and you should know how to solve, how to practice, how to basically eliminate in these question types very, very well. Okay, and there are techniques for each of these question types. So learn those. I think I did take one session where I talked about the techniques for various question types. I don't remember the name. Uh, uh, don't remember the name actually. I think 15 things to remember in RC, something of that sort was the name. So know how to address each such question type, get those basics right. If you straight away start solving an inference question without having any idea as to what you have to do, and while inferring you start putting your own opinions into the picture, your own background into the picture, you might get it wrong, right? So I hope by now all of you have read this quote, yes, by Michael Jordan, that you can practice shooting 8 hours, but if your technique is wrong, then all you become is very good at shooting the wrong way. Get the fundamentals down and the level of everything you do will rise. Okay? So it's important that you learn how to address the various question types. Some students feel, it's not of use. I know how to I know the concepts, but I still get them wrong in the exam. That's because there is some problem with implementation of that concept. Please realize that. Okay, so once you learn the basics, you also have to practice. And on practicing, when you get a question wrong, you have to analyze. So this is something that has worked for me tremendously, right? When I used to get a question wrong, I would ask myself, why did I get it wrong? Okay, so there could be a reason that I didn't read the question stem carefully. So it was a problem of concentration. I didn't read it carefully. This is something that can be easily addressed, because if you overlook something, that means it's a concentration problem. The next time you can read the question stem much more carefully. Another problem that could emerge, I didn't understand the question stem. I didn't understand it. Now, this is a problem if you didn't understand it. So, again, ask yourself why. Why did I not understand it? Was there a vocabulary word there that I didn't know the meaning of? Was the language too difficult? Did I not understand the RC itself? And that is why this problem happened. Okay, so once you've again narrowed the problem, now you know what you have to do. Look up the meaning of that word. In general, work on your vocabulary, right? If you didn't understand the language, so that means you're not probably used to reading some difficult or moderate RCs, some difficult or moderate articles. Work on reading difficult language, right? Work on solving more RCs. So basically, uh, the problem with RC passages is that unlike, let's say, a quant problem where there is one solution, the solution for everybody here when they face a problem in RC passages, the solution for everybody varies because their problems are very different. Sometimes it's a concentration problem, sometimes it's a comprehension problem, sometimes it's a speed reading problem. So you have to realize what your problem is. Keep asking why. You will narrow down to the problem, and once you have done it, find the solution. Okay, there are set solutions. Once you've understood your problem well, once you've zeroed in on that, there are solutions. Implement those solutions. Okay, so you have to work at it very consistently. Our passages demand your being active. Okay, you can't be lazy about that. You can't think one day on the weekend I'll sit and I'll learn RCs. That doesn't work. Okay. All right. Now some very practical tips, because students are like, ये तो सब theoretical है, ये तो हमें ही करना है अपने end से तो हम कर लेंगे. So basically, which types of options are incorrect? So I'm talking from an examiner perspective here. Okay. I also create content. Okay, RC content. So I know what my thought process is, what the thought process of the examiner is when he is framing the options. Okay. So what kind of options are incorrect options? Let's look at that. See, whenever anybody creates four options, no. Fortunately, till today, these are human-made papers. Call it a fortunate and unfortunate fact. CAT is basically created by human beings out there, right? So, four options. Of course, not all those four options will be extremely difficult. The psychology of the examiner is to make at least two options difficult for you. Even so, if my aim is to make a question difficult for you, I'll make two very close options. Two very close options. The other two options will probably be such that you will be able to eliminate them. So elimination is one strategy that you need to learn, right? Now, which options will you be able to eliminate easily? The ones that are false as per the passage. That means the passage is saying the opposite of it. The passage is saying the opposite of it. So if you read the passage well, these are very easy to eliminate. Those that are not mentioned in the passage at all, they are alien to the passage. Again, once you realize, if you've read the passage well, you realize, oh, I didn't read this at all in the passage. So how can this be the answer? Eliminated. So these two are pretty easy to eliminate. These two options. Which options form a part of these close options? Let's look at that. Those that just take a slight leap from what the passage says. So they go slightly beyond what the passage says. Such that in your first reading, you might think, oh yes, this is given. But when you read closely, you might realize that, okay, this is going slightly forward. This is going forward from what the passage says. So you have to read your options fully so that you are able to identify this. Distorts. I make a lot of such options which distort, cause-effect relationships, which distort whatever relationship the passage shows. So if the passage says X leads to Y, I will make an option that will very subtly invert this relationship and say Y to X, Y leads to X, such that if a student is not reading carefully, he or she is likely to mark the right answer. So see, where is it that your option is creating relationships where the passage hasn't created any such relationships, or is ending those relationships, or is using words that distort the meaning of the whole sentence altogether. You have to be careful about this. If I, let's say for instance, one of my favorite examples, if I change big to biggest in the option, that's a distortion, right? So be careful about various words, various relationships in the options. So this is the area that you have to work on when you practice your RC passages. Incomplete options. Again, when students are in a hurry, and they read an option and they feel the first few words, they have been exactly stated in the RC passage. So they don't care to find out that whether it is the complete answer or not, whether it is addressing the question stem completely or not, they just mark it as the answer. Never do that. Okay. This is a very common trap that you can actually stay out of. Okay. So incomplete options, not your answer. And this is a very insidious option type, a very dangerous option type. I'll pick up a true statement from the RC passage and write it as the option. I'll pick up a true statement from the RC and write the option. Just that it will not be answering what I'm asking. It does not answer what I'm asking. Right? So, of course, it cannot be the answer if it's not answering what I'm asking. So please actively look for these four types of errors. More often than not, it is these four only that will help you make a choice between those two close options that you're always stuck in. Okay, a very common query that I get from students. We are stuck between those options. So I think this is the antidote to that. Okay. All right. So I hope you've been enjoying the session, and I think this slide also has got painted in black. Yes, if you liked the session, then please press the like button and do share it with your friends who are just beginning their RC preparation. It will be of help. Okay. Now practicing. So concepts learned kar liye, and we are practicing also. Make it a way of your life. Practice every day. Okay. So sometimes students ask me, can we practice, let's say once for 15 days I do quant, then for the next 15 days I do VRC. I personally feel it's not a very great approach, because when you do something continuously for 15 days, while you will of course improve at it, it might lead to the sign of fatigue. Okay. Also for the 15 days that you stay away from it, then you might lose that habit all over again. So my suggestion will be, even practice a little, practice every single day, right? And at this stage of CAT, when CAT is in November, I do suggest that you practice at least 2 RC passages every day. Okay, we are in stage now. Put yourself under a time constraint, elimination and odd one out. Odd sentence out, para jumble. Okay, Ayush. All right. So, put yourself under a time constraint. See, initially, if you feel, no, see, decide this again. Initially, right now, if you feel that your accuracy is zero, let's say, and it's okay, right? If your accuracy is zero, then right now, don't put yourself under a time constraint. Right now, focus on understanding. If the accuracy is zero, that means the comprehension is pretty low. Okay. If the accuracy is 50%, if the accuracy is 50%, then out of two RCs, one RC do without a timer, RC do with a timer. If it is more than 50%, then yes, for both of them, put yourself under a time constraint. So be smart about the solutions that you implement for yourself. They will be tailor-made for you. Okay, putting yourself under a time constraint is important because the timer will be there in the exam. And that's why I asked you, how did you feel about it? Because if let's say right now I tell you, just focus on comprehension, don't worry about speed at all. If I give you this one size fits all solution, then what will happen? On the exam day, when you face it, you'll panic. You'll probably be focused on the timer itself rather than the RC passage, rather than the question. So a balanced approach is required. Okay, 50%, then 50% timer, 50% not there. More than 50%, then timer in both the cases. So make it a way of your life. Don't panic because of the timer. When you put yourself under the time constraint again and again, gradually it will become usual for you. Gradually it will be like any other day. Cat day will be like any other day because you've been facing so much under a time constraint. Right? So we have to reach there. Okay. And I think I recommend this again and again. Those who have attended my sessions, what the name of this book? The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Consider reading it. It will be a part of your non-fiction practice. So, and there is a story of Michael Phelps that I read, which actually inspired me a lot. And it says something similar, that when you practice something every day, then the test day, the exam day, the tournament, the match day becomes another practice day. Okay, so it's the story of the ace swimmer, Michael Phelps. 8 minutes per RC is fine. Okay. So in CAT, you get approximately 7.5 minutes per RC passage. So if you are currently at 8 minutes, then I think gradually with practice, you still have 3 months to go. So with practice, you will reach here. Right? And of course, this has to be there that you read with a sense of urgency and you be consistent. Something that I've already told you. When you do all of this, the test becomes a way of your life. Okay, so even when I read articles outside the RC passages, I don't become very chilled out, very laid back, very relaxed. No, I still read with a sense of urgency because I feel if I don't do that for my articles, I'll lose that habit and then I'll not be able to implement it in my RC passages. Right? So make it a way of your life. And very important now. So again, a very practical tip: evolve a test strategy for yourself. So you might be great at saying RCs, but if you don't have an exam day strategy, how you're going to solve them in the exam, you may not still score a great score, right? So you need to decide first the order of your passages, because see, no matter how much I read, I cannot read everything, all the pieces of information that are out there in this world, right? So what if something comes up about a new scientific discovery that I have no idea of? So in that case, it's important that I'm smart, because ultimately I have to maximize my score and focus on those things that I know, those things that are easy for me, those things that are of my interest, as you like to say. So prioritize your RC passages. How can you do that? Read the opening sentences of a couple of paragraphs. You'll get to know what topic the RC is on, what is the level of language, whether you are clear with it or not. And accordingly, rank your RC passages. Your first RC should be the RC that you are extremely comfortable with. Because this is, right now you're diving into the VRC section. If during the dive itself you get injured, then your next 30-40 minutes can go waste. So it's important that we prioritize our RC passages, we rank them, and our ranking can be based on these criteria: interest, familiarity, and how difficult or easy I find the language. Okay, so very important. I keep on saying this. Welcome, Harshad. 10 minutes in RCs and just doing this 2 RCs in VRC session. Is that okay? So Ayush, it is okay for now in case, let's say, you are working on your accuracy, that's the focus. And the moment, let's say, your accuracy becomes 70-80% here, no, I would advise you to expand and let's say attempt one more RC. So gradually increase the number of RCs that you attempt. Okay, why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because in the exam, you never know. Let's say you left RC entirely, but maybe the questions of that RC, while let's say it did require some effort in reading, but the questions were extremely easy. So you might lose out on that. For now, work on your accuracy. So 2 RCs is fine if let's say your accuracy is 50% or less. The moment you reach 70-80%, I want you to increase at least 1 RC, right? Welcome, Varsha. Welcome. Thank you. And lastly, choose the right questions. See, always go for the easy questions first. So let's say you attempted an passage, okay, of your interest. Now you came to the questions. Of course, some questions will be easier than others. So one question is a direct question. You saw it and you were able to solve it quickly. Great. This question, when you came to it, now you're stuck between two close options. It's been some seconds. You're still stuck at two close options. Please don't stay there. Get out. Move on to question number 3. Right? So first focus on the easier questions. Don't remain stuck. Do not get stuck. Okay. You can always come back to this question if you have time later on. Right? So when you have time later on, you can probably mark it for review right now and then come to it later on. This is something that works for me. So this is just a very personal suggestion. I attempt the main idea question at the end of the RC passage. So once I attempt all my other questions, as in all the other questions that I want to do, I attempt my main idea question. Because, in doing the other questions, I again revisit certain areas. So the main idea gets seated in my head. I again read certain portions of the RC passage. So this is something that works for me. Try it this way, right? Always eliminate. Learn elimination. You learn it practice. So you could consider watching yesterday's session. There we eliminated various options, then we arrived at the answers. We didn't straight away mark anything, right? So eliminate, how to back, how to reread certain sections, how to eliminate. We talked about it yesterday also, and we will keep on talking about it in our upcoming sessions. And lastly, keep calm. Your temperament matters a lot. If you face any surprises, if on the day you feel that okay, various passages, most of the passages are difficult, please stay calm. Just navigate through it, like you navigate through an unknown way, right? You pick up some markers, okay, you take some help and you navigate. Similarly, take the help of some of the words you understand and navigate through them. But keep calm, okay? That will help you give your best. Even during your prep, sometimes your scores might be low. Again, keep calm. Just put your head down and see where I have mistakes. Ask the why. Work on it. Address it for the next test. Next test. Okay. All right. So Rehan, initially that is the case, okay, because this is language. So as I said in quant, there is one clear numerical answer. In verbal ability and reading comprehension, you figure it out on the basis which is better. Okay, you may feel that this is not the ideal answer out of the 4 options. You may feel I can write a better answer than this. So you have to choose the best out of the lot, and that's why elimination becomes very, very important. Okay, you learn it when you practice. So this is a muscle that needs to be flexed continuously. So I hope you enjoyed the session. Please do like, comment, share it with friends, and anything that you wish to ask, please do. Yes. Anything that is not clear to you, you can ask me. All right then. So this is our comprehensive CAT program, right? Welcome, Harshad. Welcome. And you can, if you want to enroll, then you can talk to our counselor for further queries. And here we provide you with a lot of practice material. So practice material will definitely not be a concern. Expert advice will always be given. And we also prepare you for your WATs and PIs, which will be the stage 2. Okay. You can follow us on our social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and we can stay connected via Telegram through this group, through this channel, BYJU'S MBA Doubts. Okay. Welcome all of you and thank you for attending the session. Vocabulary, yes, sure, Varsha. We've had multiple sessions on vocabulary as part of various exams, so you can check out our playlist. And of course, as NMAT comes nearer, as other exams come that are focused on vocabulary, we're having a lot more sessions on vocabulary. Okay, so jargons. Okay, so let me just advise you some sessions that I would like you to watch. So I took this series last year that I really like, must know words for. Okay, so you can just type this must know words for. Let's say one was for politics based RCs. Must know words for art based RCs. Must know words for business and economy based RCs. So I took this series last year and it is still available over YouTube. You can consider that. Okay, welcome, welcome. Bye bye. See you. I see you at 12 p.m. Tuesday to Saturday. Okay. Bye.